What is going on, good people? Wait a minute. Normally that's DJ saying that. No, this time it's me. It's Mr. And oh no, sorry, wrong one. Adam here, Justin up top, Casey. I'm just gonna call you by Casey because I refuse to name what your little thingy says there. That little thingy.
Jay, what's up, Dixie Norris?
Thingy's probably not the term you want to use for his name.
True that. Also, there's DJ up there in the corner having some testicle injury. I mean,
be prepared
technically,
for me to be in and out of this whole thing, but I will be back.
Wait, in and out now. Come on now. Hang on. Let's calm down with that noise. Anyway, we are going to have a little discussion on the state of the business as a whole, just like Nia Jax. But the state of the business in a broad sense, whether it be WWE, ROH, Impact, AEW, whatever comes to mind. And what we like, what we don't like right now, what we like to see in the future. One thing that first pops to mind, because I thought about this earlier, we did an episode on the Peacock deal. I don't know, what was that, about 2 weeks ago, give or take? And part of me kind of thinks that I'm wondering if that is maybe slowly pushing towards them buying back their stock and getting just a nice big one lump sum. Because if I know Vince, he wants to surpass UFC as the largest selling of a stock or a company. Like if it was, I think it was like what, $4 billion that Dana sold the UFC. If I know Vince, he wants for that to be $4 billion $1. So who knows? Because I don't know. There's been a few appearances from Vince where I'm thinking he needs to slowly just start to fade out. Even though we all know that he is not going to leave that chair until the day he takes his last breath. So I don't know. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I've not seen or heard anything. I just got that thought in the back of my head. But anything that you guys want to start off with, it could be from any company, WWE, and it could be from the various shows.
I think just in general, as like a blanket kind of statement regarding the state of the business, I think it's still, hard to really say, because at the end of the day, we still are in the midst of a pandemic. A lot of shows either can't have fans at all or can have only a certain amount, and that's really in a way hurting the actual shows. I mean, they're still streaming, and a lot of companies now are making deals with streaming platforms, even like small. Like I'm working an indie show in about 2 weeks, and they made a deal with a small company that does live streaming for fans to be able to watch the show. But it's still not the same as being at the show. You don't get that same energy from the crowd. The crowd doesn't get that same energy from watching on a screen. So it's you're kind of losing money there still. And I don't know. It's just hard to really say. Obviously, we can still talk about it. It's not like end of the episode. That's the state of the business. But
right.
It is kind of still hard to really definitively say, this is where this is going, or, this is on an upturn, or this is going down, because we really don't know. And different things are different.
What sucks, like from my perspective, what sucks is I know, especially I'll use WWE as an example. It sucks because some people, I think, do it out of habit. And I think they have been instructed in some cases to still do their pose, do their whatever, and then they're doing it to no one. And that in return is insulting to the viewer and for anybody that is in the Thunderdome. It's just, yes, like to me, you need to lose yourself in the actual competitive atmosphere of being in a match where you're not thinking of the crowd. I mean, yes, you would internally. I think you do want to have that imagination that there's still 15,000 people in the building that night, and it is. I take nothing away from the performers. They're still busting their ass, which I applaud them. It's just the production, Vince, whomever, they're still trying to get them to like, I still want you to envision like there's 15,000 people out there, pal. It's hard. It's very hard to obtain.
And two, number one, I think if I had to describe it in one word, I'd say oversaturated is the main thing. But in terms of what the current discussion that we're having as of right now, in terms of like how the pandemic has affected wrestling and you know, that's kind of the current state that we're in. I think because there was a point, and it's funny because Casey and I used to joke about this all the time, but there was a point where I would watch certain things on mute during wrestling shows and I would enjoy it more. But now it's like, it's almost like it's glorified on mute, but it's hard to watch. And that's the weird part about it. Because I wouldn't catch something on commentary or something like that. In case we'd be like, you didn't hear that? And I was like, I watched that on mute. and then he'd just be like, well, you missed the best part. So, I mean, the pandemic has screwed up a lot of things for a lot of people. And for wrestling, I think, and we've talked about it at length before, even more so, because I don't think there's any other sport in this world that needs a crowd more than wrestling does. And I don't know if we realized it until it was gone. You know, they always say you don't know what you got until it's gone. And we hated the fans and we hated how smarky they were and we hated the stupid chants they made up. But like now we're like, I mean, I take a fight for every chant. And I mean, even when you watch NXT and you see just a tiny little crowd, even just a little bit of real reaction, it's nice, right? It's like nice to see, even just that little bit. Even just enough to kind of keep it organic and keep it not like just fake noise being pumped in.
Right.
Yeah. But,
enough of just enough of an ambiance. But yeah, I did that when they had crowds and whatnot. I would watch the shows on mute because I'd be either listening to a podcast and I threw the closed captions on while like the wife would be asleep. Because again, I do like I did it for the Rumble. I mean, I got the surround sound. I like to hear that ambient noise of the crowd. And so you just said it. As much as we like the fans are almost a character of the show now. It's like, guys, like you are not above the show. Yes, you paid your ticket. You can do what you want. But I tell you what, I will gladly take the Smarky chance right now, or the beach ball popping around. But
because just doing this on your camera screen, it's not being a fan.
Yeah, no. And I will say this: once crowds are allowed to come back, even if it be for one night or a short period of time, those crowds are going to explode as if it was the 90s again, and it is going to be refreshing.
Like, people doing smarky things, just hopping in bed, watching the show. Because I've seen that before. Like, people, like, they just go to sleep. Like, I see some weird things that happen.
I mean, to go back, because I don't know if there's any direction in this. I think we're just like, shooting at the hip here. But back to the oversaturation aspect of it, because that's kind of how I feel about it. And I've been thinking about this since we said we were going to do it. And I don't know when the last time we did this type of video was. I'm almost certain NXT was on top of the world at that point, as they have been for a little bit. And I think it was before AEW, if I'm not mistaken. Or I think AEW was just a thought the last time we did a Save the Business type video. But I mean, when I say oversaturated, everybody's overexposed. In terms of like we're seeing too much of them, there's too much on. I mean, like I remember at one point we were talking about how, oh yeah, we're gonna have wrestling every night. This is gonna be great, and then we got it, and we're like, Please.
Like, it's like I
No.
want to go back to I just want to have a normal life, you know. I don't want to be consumed to, like, don't get me wrong, I love watching wrestling, but like we have normal lives also. We want to watch other things out here, you know.
It's just, I mean, it's just like, and it's not, the issue is some of it's just not good or just it's like lacking. And like, it's hard, like you can have, like, I can love reality competition shows, but if one of them's good and then the rest of them absolutely suck, then it doesn't matter that they have them.
And also, Adam, I want to go back to your like comment about Peacock and stuff. Like, you know, don't get me wrong, Vince McMahon, he's a smart businessman. You know, he's getting all these billion-dollar deals everywhere. You know, he's a smart businessman. But I feel like, you know, when they have these, you know, billion-dollar deals, I feel like he's not gonna put as much into the booking the shows. Like, it's just gonna be, the shows are gonna get worse. Like these pay-per-views, like they're not gonna put any effort into their pay-per-views, any booking or anything.
Well, to kind of add to that, and I have another point about the oversaturation in just a second. But as far as that, like, and they're also, I believe, recently they just signed like, I think it was like 24 or something new talents.
Yeah,
that are coming. I think this Wednesday or something, Tuesday or Wednesday, to the Performance Center. Like, you already have enough people that you're not using, that you're not doing anything with. And don't get me wrong, there's a bunch of guys on there that totally deserve it, that absolutely 100% deserve it. But if they're going to be signed and just not used, I don't want them to be signed at all. I would rather see you not be signed and stay on the indies and work and be seen than to be signed to a contract and then just never seen at all. I mean,
but the one part of that is it's a two-headed monster. Because let's take, just throwing a name out there from the past, Miro, or Rusev. I don't think he had done anything prior to coming to WWE, but he had a look, and they really invested some time in him. And much like anything else, they fed him to John Cena, and he plummeted.
Vladimir Putin.
It is you get a valuable teaching of how to work it, for the cameras, but at the same time you're still working WWE style. There's certain coaches that they have had. The first, to me, the best, second best, third best, right offhand, Dr. Tom Pritchard. He told you at least the fundamentals and basic psychology that if you left those people to their own devices, they can grow from that and not have this formulaic, watered down, saturated version of yourself. Because much like anything else, again, everybody is talking through the same filter, and that's Vince, which is another reason why, God, I wish Dusty was still around, because it was still WWE speak, but some of those guys still presented it as if they were talking, which is why I like Adam Cole. But anyway, so that they are getting a valuable lesson. It is good, but they have hundreds of people signed, and none of them are ever going to see the light of day.
Well, and to kind of add to that, I feel like in a way, and again, don't get me wrong, nothing but absolute respect to people who are just signed right to WWE, who don't have experience in the business before. They just had the look, just had the charisma, whatever. More power to you. But I do think the guys that have worked in the business before and came from the indies have a little bit of an edge, because they know how to work the crowd. They know how to do these things. They know how to cut a promo. They know how to be themselves and not be an oversaturated, watered down version of themselves. Like Adam Cole, like you said, he knows how to do it. So if, let's say, you have a guy who came from the indies and signed to WWE, and a guy who was just signed to the PC, has no interest, no experience. If both of them get released from WWE, the guy from the indies is going to have a much better chance of still working and still being successful because he knows what it's like. The other guy just knows what WWE taught him, and and that's not always going to work. That's not going to work in a little, mom and pop indie fed in, Florida or in New York. You have to be able to adapt and not just be like, oh, WWE, this is how WWE taught me. This is how I have to do it. No, you have to learn different ways.
What would y'all say is like the problem? Because, and we ask this question a lot amongst fans. I ask it to some of my friends who are more casual guys. I ask it to people who kind of stepped away. Like, what's the issue? Because I think we all point to Raw and we all say it's 3 hours. You can't write a 3-hour show. It's possible. It hasn't been terrible since it's been 3 hours. It's just recently, out of the past 2, 3, probably 4 years, been terrible.
I think a lot of it is it's just too robotic.
Mm-hmm.
Like Adam says all the time, it's the same promo. It's the same match. It's the same opening segment. It's the same this, that, the other. And DJ and I used to joke about this all the time, how Raw used to open with the same opening segment.
Exactly, yeah.
And then a tag team match to end the show.
Yeah, it would be the same show every single week.
A 30-minute segment of this talking.
It was cut and paste, the same exact thing every week.
Yeah. Well, and I think, too, because the crazy part is, we try to, bare bones it a little bit and say, okay, it's just the main roster that sucks. But then you watch SmackDown, and you can watch SmackDown. You can really watch and enjoy SmackDown. There are things on SmackDown that you can really watch and enjoy. Is there some stupid stuff? Yes, but there's stupid stuff in everything. AEW's got stupid stuff. NXT got stupid stuff.
There was stupid stuff in the Attitude Era, but it was at least a melting pot of different things. Do you remember? And this, I'll even go back as far as Nitro. Do you remember when they just started the show with a match?
Yeah.
And not have Triple H come out for 20 goddamn minutes. It would be, here are the announcers, here's what you're going to see tonight, and then bam, right into a wrestling match. And sometimes if it's a big star that's coming out, John Cena's coming out, The Rock, if he comes back, whomever, if it's the major star that's going to present themselves out there, cool. But it was the same thing. It's like watching Family Feud. Doesn't matter who the host is. I know what the fuck to expect. Ding, ding. Top answers.
Well, and two, I think it boils down to maybe a lack of huge stars, superstars. But I don't think we can really sit here and say that the WWE main roster doesn't have stars. I talked to I don't know who it was, somebody who hadn't watched wrestling in a while, and they were like, "Is Seth Rollins still there?" And I was like, "Seth, don't get me wrong, Seth Rollins is great. I love Seth Rollins, but he wouldn't be the first person I would think. He wouldn't be the first person that I would think anybody would pick out of a lineup. So well, I definitely think they're stars. I think they're stars in WWE. I think sometimes, and fans struggle with this because we talked about how NXT blows people away. We talked about how NXT kind of blows people away, even casual fans, even people who don't watch wrestling anymore. Even Rabbit, who I'll bring on here in a second, he was like, NXT is. That was a good show.
Side note to that, and I forgot the channel that was talking about it. Someone on YouTube was talking about the fact that WWE has kind of screwed themselves long term because they haven't really booked or pushed that next big star.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel like
you did get a John Cena. If they find that next Cena,
and they have these guys. They have these guys that they could make, but they aren't pushing them.
They rest on their laurels and not the laurels of Vanessa's.
They don't have their future Cena. They don't. Well, they have those guys, but they're not pushing their future Cena. They're not pushing their future Rock. They're not pushing their future Austin. They're not pushing the guys that need to because like we've always said, those guys aren't going to be there forever. Cena's not going to be there forever. You know, you gotta think for the future. You know, not just, oh, what's making money now? What's going to make us money in 15 years? What's going to make us money, you know, when, you know, little Timmy is, you know, 20 and looks back on, you know, when he was a kid.
But I'm going to say, I like what they've been doing with the Roman Reigns, you know, ever since they treated him heel.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that's one of the positive things that came out of this pandemic a little bit, you know. Yeah. They're like, oh, we need to take risks with some things. Like maybe if they had this, you know, 10 years ago, because they always had the thought of turning Cena heel and stuff. So if they had something like a pandemic like 10, 12 years ago, I feel like they could have turned, you know, Cena heel or something. But yeah, I think this was the really only good thing that really came out of this, you know, turning Reigns heel.
That's it. We need more pandemics. That's what it is.
But my thing is this. Why does somebody have to be like, I can think of the last person that I was like, oh, that was a really cool face. I tell you, man, that face, man, I love that guy.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. That is a gigantic problem. And look, I understand everything evolves every 10, 15 years or so. There's a new wave of fan. And back in the day, they did try to mirror things that were happening in society. But above all else, if you are still saying that you're telling stories, you have to have an antagonist and you have to have a protagonist. Now, yes, they always say, let the fans decide. But when everybody does the same damn move, nobody works like a heel, and they never get a baby face over. They constantly bury anybody that they are trying to make face. And yes, they do have stars. I'm not degrading anybody in that sense. My thing is, again, going back to storytelling, it still comes down to give me a bad guy, give me a good guy. Slap me in the face with it. Because, hey, the Avengers, the Marvel movies, those are one of the biggest things out right now. Clear-cut good guys, clear-cut bad guys. I know who to root for. And I know, like, everybody's a tweener. Everybody's like, no. It all comes down to you want the people to believe in said person, like someone that you want to push as a babyface.
And one of the problems with the business and with that aspect is everybody wants to be that, you know, badass heel, but also everyone wants to be cheered, and you can't. You can't.
Well, everybody wants to sell merch.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a good side hustle. But I am so sick of that. Above all else, and this is what I was getting to. You know, across the board, everybody is viewed in Vince's eyes. Is supposed to be viewed as an equal. This is the business. The business is doing this. Top guys face top guys. The people in the middle are always going to stay in the middle, and the other guys are always going to be on the pre-show, or always going to be on main event. This is how the system's supposed to be. When the guy is the top guy, quote unquote, once he gets beat, you got to knock him down to either the middle or have him start over. Let him go away and, as JR would say, learn a new hold. And no, we don't have the territory system, but like, you know, get him off TV for a little bit. You know, make me miss you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or because it's almost like a demotion when somebody go like now the way that it's booked, it's almost like a demotion to go after the IC title or the US title.
Or
I've been good.
Or it's like us marks, we have to beg for to have somebody put in the main event picture. You know, like say like a Kofi Kingston, for example, or like a Daniel Bryan, because like exactly. Because if we weren't begging to have them in the main event picture, they'd be still treading in the mid card division.
Right. Real quick, Rabbit, what's up?
What it do?
Welcome in, man. Welcome in. If anybody don't know, this is Rabbit Jones from the third Perspective Podcast. What you say? What's the tagline over there? The number one podcast. What is it? What is
you
it?
know, in the DMV. Change his name up. What's that? Dixie?
Dixie Normus, how you doing? How you doing?
Hey, bro, I'm coming from a whole different perspective, right? Because I ain't been watching for like almost 2 years now.
What makes you watch? Like that's what I like. That's what I'm curious about. Like when you think about it, you're like, you know what? I'm gonna watch wrestling. What makes you watch it?
All right, my whole thing is I got that itch where I was always in the wrestling. I was like he said, Mark. It was just always in the wrestling, until it got too bland for me. So that's when I switched to WCW, you know what I'm saying? But once WCW left, I switched to TNA because it was more authentic wrestling going on, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, I don't like all the extra commercial stuff. Y'all know that, you know what I'm saying? I just don't like all that. I like the wrestling thing. So TNA was giving that more, you know what I'm saying? So it brought me back into wrestling, but that itch I had, you know what I'm saying? When I was back with the WWE WWF before it switched to WWE. So I had that itch again when TNA came back. So once TNA left, I lost it. You know what I'm saying? So now when it come back, now it's back. I haven't been able to get back into it. You know what I'm saying? But
have you been watching a little bit of AEW, like seeing some stuff, like having Sting over there?
I was just about to say the state. I don't know the state of wrestling. You see what I'm saying? But I know where it was when I stopped watching it 2 years ago. And compared to where it was then, it's way more accessible, put it like that. You got more, like I turned TNT and watch wrestling now. I was begging for that. Y'all remember that? I was wishing TNA was going 10. That was the main channel I wanted wrestling on. You know what I'm saying? I look at it, got it right there after I leave. You know what I'm saying? But I'm thinking about to come back in. I like the TNA. I've been watching some of the highlights of TNA. So I'm thinking I might start watching TNA again. I'm hoping that I don't be wasting my time, DJ.
I don't think, and we, Justin and I have talked about this because we kind of the only two that watch TNA here in this particular panel. But TNA is good and it's bad. Like it's got its on days and its off days. And I think too the biggest issue with TNA and it's with everything right now is the pandemic is hurting them. They can put on some great matches, but I can't get into them because I'm missing the crowd. I'm missing some sort of reaction.
And for me, it's like, and DJ and I have talked about this too. They grabbed me sometimes, like when Motor City Machine Guns came back. They grabbed me, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna watch it again. This is awesome."
They're my boys right there, boy.
They are one of my favorite tag teams of all time. I love them, but TNA didn't keep me. They didn't keep me in there. They didn't keep me interested. They didn't keep me invested. It's like they have little peaks where it's like, oh, something new. It'll get me interested for a while, but it'll very quickly get stale again. Or
so if I was coming from a whole nother world, right? A wrestling world. And I was coming here, and I was be like, where's wrestling at? You know what I'm saying? I'll be geek for wrestling, come from a world of wrestling, right? What would the channel y'all take me to? ASAP. If y'all know I love wrestling, y'all know DJ.
I would say I would definitely say NXT. I'll take you to NXT definitely because that's really like a lot of the pure wrestling or Ring of Honor, for example. That's another one.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it before. Like it's the simplicity of it. That's a lot of what the main roster is missing. Just simple storylines. Like you can have a complicated storyline here and there, but like. There needs to be a beginning. There needs to be an end, and there don't need to be no craziness in betweens.
Also, AEW being. Go ahead.
Perfect example. You don't need an I'm fucking pregnant storyline. No,
I think she actually is pregnant though.
I don't care.
Are you talking about Lacey?
Yeah. I don't care. I don't need that.
Is Ric Flair the father though?
Like again, like Adam was saying, give me a face, give me a heel, give me a reason.
The illegitimate son.
Like don't give me she's pregnant. I'm stealing your dad and your dad.
So you don't think the writing and booking that had nothing to do with that?
I think in a lot of companies, there's just too many. Like there's too many cooks in the kitchen. I feel like.
Yes.
And we've seen this storyline so many times. They go like, "Oh yeah, they're pregnant." And yeah. We've seen that so many times. Like this is something we've seen ruthless aggression, or add to there even.
Well, everything doesn't have to be turned into a storyline either.
Yeah. And
just say she's pregnant and take her off TV.
In the Attitude Era, they did a angle like that where Marlena got knocked off the apron and she had a miscarriage. It's like, how did that sell one more ticket? How did that get one more rating? Besides make a lot of people uncomfortable. And because if it's legit, that's horrible. And and they worked it. He goes, now that's just in bad taste. Now I'm not necessarily oversensitive, but it's like, what did that add to the show? And it's like, oh, I'm not going to be running my TV to see if she actually did have a miscarriage. I don't care at that point.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like going back to what would suit you as as Rabbit would say, a pure wrestling fan. Like the thing, like we were saying before, like the thing about NXT is like, I mean, just go back to that takeover and look at the storylines from that takeover, right? Like Finn Balor and Pete Dunne. I want the NXT title.
It was so simple. So simple.
I want the NXT title. I want to be at the top of. I want to be at the top of this brand. That's about it. That was about the gist of it. The Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, both of them. I want that trophy. That trophy means something. I want that trophy. Well, that's the gist of it.
Kushida and Johnny Gargano.
And for me, like DJ just said, for me, it's like, give me a tournament. Mm-hmm. Give me a tournament. Give me King of the Ring. Give me the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic.
And that's why I also point at NJPW. I mean, but that's kind of hard to watch everything. But they're really good at doing tournaments over there.
Well, and two, when you look at it, even the stuff that's a little outlandish, right? Dexter Lumis and Cameron Grimes, right? It was a little bit more than just, I'm better than you, you're better than me. Let's go fight.
Yeah, but that's been like right? The 8 kidnapping in the last 2 weeks.
But like with that, if you can put it in sparingly and make it make sense, like if you can put it in sparingly and let it be funny, I think comedy has its, it has its place, but like not everything needs to be like a glorified joke. Same thing with going to like Bray, like the Bray and Braun thing, Bray and anything that Bray does, right? It's not your typical just I'm better than you, we're gonna go fight in the ring. Like, but there's like there's a backstory to it. There's like inner workings within it that like you need, like you have to watch to understand. And that's okay. I'm cool with that, right? I'm cool with the Sting storylines. I'm cool with Taker storylines, right? But not everything needs to be that. Not everything needs to be this outlandish, whoa, you gotta shock me type deal.
I have 2 quick points to add. One with like the comedy, whatever. I think every promotion has kind of has their their monster character. Every promotion can have their comedy character and have it work. It doesn't have to be every segment, but you have your comedy segment with your comedy guy. You have your segment with your monster who just kills everybody. That thing. When it's every single match, when you're trying to be comedy or funny or trying to just destroy everybody, it gets boring, and it's like, come on, guys, come on.
Or take AEW for example, like them putting on like all these tag team matches, flipping outside the ring, doing all these crazy things. Like every single week, we have so many tag team matches. I mean, it just gets to a point where like, okay, what else you got up your sleeve? Like, do something else.
Yeah, like, AEW has had street fights. They've had ladder matches, last man standing matches on their show. Save that stuff for
the pay-per-views.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also you have to take this into consideration. And we say it about AEW fans all the time. The fans a lot of the times are the issue. They always, they're the ones who want the 47 suicide dives per show. they're the ones who want these, and it's like you're making it worse for the future of the business. Like, stop. I get it. It's fun to see somebody do a dive here and there, but not every match. It's fun to have one or two matches that are just weird or goofy or whatever. Okay, that's fine. Not every match.
There's a reason why the cruiserweight matches and on Nitro were special, because you knew you weren't going to see 3 more matches of that in the night.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they had the basis of just normal wrestling, and then had some of this stuff sprinkled around.
Yes.
Where you got a normal flow of wrestling, then that's funny. Then go back to wrestling. You know what I'm saying? But I think you could be funny without it being a storyline or nothing. Like the Bushwhackers, or remember they'd be funny. You ain't got to put no storylines or nothing in it. You know what I'm saying? It's just funny. There's some people you can just, if they do their characters right, you don't have to write storylines for them to make you laugh. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just
right.
their character.
Well, I think too, I think there's a certain lack of, we probably would say lack of credibility. Because think about with the Attitude Era, and even the Ruthless Aggression Era, everything felt like it was so credible, right?
Yes.
Everything felt like it felt like they was really out here going for this true prize. And it's not even the fact of it being scripted or us finding out that it was scripted. Even after that, even to this day, we still love it for some crazy reason. It's like we get into this whole, we get into this movie of it, and we have to watch it. We have to see okay, what's next?
And I don't even think it being scripted should even be part of the conversation anymore, because we've known this for 30 plus years.
Fans have known it's been a work since the 30s.
Yeah, that's not really the issue. Yeah. It's just the entertaining part is the issue.
You have to be able to forget that. You have to be able to kind of
suspend your disbelief.
Yeah.
Don't really think about it. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. The lack of credibility doesn't necessarily even come from it being scripted. The lack of credibility comes back to the writing of it. We were talking about yesterday during the takeover review, what makes me want to watch NXT, right? If I'm a casual fan, what's gonna make me want to watch NXT? Well, Edge wins the Royal Rumble. We know who Edge is. He tweets that, hey, I might go down to NXT. And him even just looking at the NXT title a certain way makes us say, dang, the NXT title must be pretty important. That must be pretty important if the Royal Rumble winner is even in the conversation of even thinking about it. He's even considering it. And it comes back to Impact. Impact working with AEW, which has been fine, but at the same time, AEW has been burying them like idiots. And Impact has allowed it like idiots. But
sounds familiar.
And again, it goes back to the problem with the fans. You talk about, and we've talked about this before, Edge went over an hour in the Rumble, and AEW fans were like, "Oh, WWE only, has their part-timers." Meanwhile, Sting comes out in AEW and comes out to the ring for a promo and doesn't do anything, and they're like, "This is the greatest thing in the world," and I'm like, "What?" Edge just was in the Rumble for over an hour, and you're saying, "Oh, he's just a part-timer." But Sting literally does the bare minimum. Doesn't even get into full character. It's Steve Borden cosplaying as what he used to be. It's not even Sting. And you're saying it's the greatest thing in the world.
Dang.
Stop.
And there's a reason why he didn't cut a promo a lot when he became the Crow. Sting was the most over character in the business, and he didn't say a freaking word because the fans believed in what his role was. I'm not with the NWO. I am not with WCW. All I know is I want Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
That's all I care about.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like with the whole AEW Impact thing,
and New Japan also in there.
Yeah, well, if people feel like if people have their tiers of where AEW is better than Impact. New Japan is better than Impact. Well, all Okada's got to do is say
NXT or whatever.
All Okada's got to do is come in there and say, "Hey, that title looked pretty nice. I'd like to add that to my collection." Same thing with Kenny Omega. They don't even got. I mean, and you can have that match if you want to. Blah 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 blah. But it's more so the principle of it. And it brings me back to that time when Lashley was going after every title. Lashley was the world champion, and he's like, "Hey, I want that X Division championship," and like that. And it doesn't seem like maybe that it should, but it does, because when your top guy is going after the mid-card title or what we view as the mid-card title, then I'm like, well, wait a minute. Well, maybe that title could be a top guy title. I gotta see more of what this X Division is about.
Also, another sidebar, again, under the fans. Can we stop focusing so much on, is so-and-so going to come to this company or come to that company? Can we stop focusing on who's not in this company and more focus on who is in the company?
Right.
Like, can we stop being like, is Okada coming to WWE? Is Okada going to come to AEW? Is Okada, focus on where he is right now. And focus on who's in WWE. Focus on who's in AEW.
Okada Kazuchika!
Like, he's great. Don't get me wrong, but stop focusing on who's, coming. Focus on who's here.
Or like Jay White, because I heard rumors like, Jay White's going to WWE. Like, no. Like these are all rumors here. Like, it's terrible.
It gets so annoying, and I'm so done with CM Punk's coming back. No, he's not.
He's never coming back. Never.
Just stop.
No,
I'm gonna hold you to that. I would venture to guess that he is not done. That's all I will say.
No, I don't know how close to the end of this typical discussion that we're on. I don't know how close to the end we are, but I do want to ask this question, and this can be the final question if we want it to be, or we can keep going. But I do want to ask, in your opinion, what is the state of the business, right? If you had to use one word and explain it, or if you just want to explain it in an entire dissertation, 10-page essay, like, what is the state of the business right now? I've already said oversaturated. And I may have more after I hear you guys, but I'm curious to hear everybody's kind of thoughts on it. And we're talking from WWE all the way to Ring of Honor, and that's not me tiering anything. That's just me naming random companies. Impact, New Japan, just wrestling as a whole.
Well, if we would get back, if we would say, like when we was talking about the authentic of the wrestling business, right? When people look at it, we know that it's scripted, but we want to get into it, right? The only way that will work is people don't really care about it too much and none of that, but this will make it work. Kayfabe is real important, right? So the average person that's sitting there watching it got to look realistic. It have to, you know what I'm saying? So you can't just be lazy with none of your moves. You can't be botching. You just can't do it. It
don't matter. It don't matter how fake Batman's moves were that he was doing. I'm into them.
Exactly. You just gotta make it look realistic. I just can't watch wrestling where everybody's just lazy. Don't nobody want to go through nothing. The person don't want to put this other person over. All that stuff's unnecessary. All that stuff together makes a better match, whether they know it or not. Whether you making a pin or not, you can still make this match good even if you lose. You know what I'm saying? It just it gets to the point where everybody got to be the one to do it. You know what I'm saying? And not worrying about the other person and getting them over. Because most of you watch Hogan, most of his matches is getting the other person over. You know what I'm saying? Taking their punches, taking their moves, and then doing his little thing at the end after they finish. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, it's more of him getting them over. You hitting him and he acting like he about to die. You know what I'm saying? Because you just hit him in the throat or something. You know what I'm saying? you gotta be realistic with it. Even the top dogs like Hogan. He looked realistic when he get in there every time. You know what I'm saying? Even The Rock. I don't like The Rock, but he tries best to look realistic when you hit them and all that. You gotta look realistic. Kayfabe is real important. I don't know how y'all feel about kayfabe, and that might go to the state of the whole business too.
And also, kind of on that note, a lot of times, like, you know, say you're in, you know, a certain level of the wrestling business, the next level up, those companies a lot of times are looking at the guys that are selling for the, you know, the face who are selling. They want to know that, you know, if they bring you in and they put you, you know, if you get a tryout match with WWE and they put you in a ring with whoever, they want to know that you're going to be able to sell for them and put them over.
Exactly.
Because it's not always about you. Yes, you might get to that point. You might get to the point where you're the top star. You have to work from the bottom. It doesn't matter. You might be the big fish in your pond. There's always a bigger pond. There's always going to be somebody that you have to sell for, that you have to, you know, put over. You're not going to be the one always getting, you know, being put over. And just in general for the, you know, state of the business, I think it's still recovering. I think, you know, again, we're still in the pandemic. We are still most places can have either a certain percentage of fans or no fans, just depending on where you are. And that's still, you know, we got to take it slow. We gotta wait until this whole thing blows over. And having huge shows is not going to help that.
I mean, what's the biggest amount of people they have in these shows?
I think. Well, and not even just wrestling. Let's talk about the Super Bowl.
I think the football team still put like 20,000 was at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. And
for wrestling, I mean, that's a lot, ain't it?
Well, yeah, they're spread out in a big stadium. They're spread out there.
But still, you could there still could be, you know, things could still get spread. COVID could still get spread. And you know, just because, you know, that doesn't mean people are going to stay apart from each other. You know, like
I'm just thinking it should have been ways they could think around this. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I think the NWA, I think NBA did a good job of working around the situation. You know what I'm saying?
I think NBA did the best out of any, you know.
I think wrestling should have been easier because you basically more on TV really anyway. You know what I'm saying? So it should have been easier for wrestling to move around this. And then bigger shows could have been in the football field. You know what I'm saying? With the screens up there and all that stuff. I don't know. They could have thought through way better than what they're doing right now. I know that.
Yeah.
Y'all be watching a lot. I don't know.
I mean, I think like WWE could do something like that. AEW could do like a stadium show. But not every promotion, unfortunately, is going to be able to do that. You know, Impact isn't necessarily going to be able to do that. Ring of Honor isn't necessarily going to be able to do that. Small indie promotions obviously aren't going to be able to do that, and they still need to. You know, those guys are still trying to work too.
I mean, you know, me and DJ even talked about this before. You know, with trying to bring a crowd out, like. Bringing out the roster, you know, that can help spice up things also. You know, just having the roster around the ring, you know, ringside, you know, kind of cheering, hooting, hollering. Or like having some local indie guys.
Yeah, if you're worried about the spread, Justin, we said that a couple of times. If you're worried about the spread, number one, have your roster tested when they come in, or how, you know, however you got to do it to make it work. And have them around the ring, have 10, 15, whatever, enough to just have a, you know, organic sound there. In terms of like indie guys, I still think it's the same aspect. You know, if you're worried about the spread, once again, have them tested. And I mean, shoot, I feel like some indie guys will come in for free to be a fan.
To be on
You
TV, absolutely.
Yeah, to be on TV, to rub elbows with some of those WWE guys. I think they'd be okay. I think they'd be completely
CR
fine.
O'Malley is not going to get on TV, kind sir. And by the way, the only spread, the thing is, the only spread that the Chiefs were worried about was the score. I heard spread, and I thought, 31-9.
I mean, the only spread that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans are worried about is the super spreader. But they
Spreader.
I think the only thing they're worried about is that win that they got over the Chiefs.
I thought they were worried about a couple more rings on the fingers spreading. Like,
I wish when Tom Brady threw the, we're talking about a little football here, because we're talking about both things, wrestling and football. But I wish Tom Brady, when he threw the Lombardi Trophy to the boat, I wish they would have dropped in the water. I would have freaking laughed.
Hey, what y'all think? What you think about him throwing the trophy? That ain't no problem to y'all?
Like I said, I wish he would have dropped it.
It didn't necessarily bother me. I thought it was. I don't know. I'm indifferent. Like, I wouldn't have done that because I would have had the panic attacks if I let that thing fall into the water. But they were drunk enough; they'd have been like, "Oh, guys, we got to go to the bottom of the sea."
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I have too much of a problem with it, but that's probably just because it's Tom. Like, I think I'll give Tom a pass.
I think it's Tom Brady. He could have done he could have, smashed it, and they would have been like, it's Tom. We'll just make it.
Tom, we got another one.
We'll just make a new one.
We're gonna have so many.
Let's just use one of the other 6 you got. Come on, just sit there.
Everybody was having a heart attack the whole time he was throwing it. He don't even want to get. There's so many of them. You just let him hit. Everybody else having a heart attack the whole time in the edge.
Adam, what was your state of the business in not 140 characters or less, but
well, it's I always try to go that route and it never happens. But really, just one thing that you had brought up earlier, that how you were on WWF a lot, and then it got stale, and then you went to TNT and WCW, which goes into my point. There is, of all these companies right now, there's no competition. Regardless what anybody says, WCW forced WWF's hand to get better. Mm-hmm. Now, even with AEW going against NXT, nobody's trying. They're trying to. The fans' perception.
I mean, the AEW ratings are slightly higher, than NXT.
Yeah, and that's my issue with both brands, their fans attacking each other. When I hear somebody slander WWF, a WWF fan, it's just like, just watch AEW and enjoy it. Okay, and again, it's subjective. Nobody's right or wrong, but my thing is, to put it out there to AEW fans, when I hear stuff on Twitter, especially, in 5 years, AEW is going to own WWF's library and blah, blah, blah. Time. Have you guys ever known who Vince McMahon is? Okay? Like you are not defeating that man. And did I mention he just got $1 billion?
With a B. $1 billion.
B.
Capital B there.
So, real quick. The only thing I'll say is that you guys are making it seem like you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. You're not. You're attributing to the niche fan. These people are already going to watch. What are you doing to garner in new fans?
Right,
and that's why I've said.
And that's the same with all these companies, because they're not bringing new fans in right now.
Yeah, they're just appeasing the ones that are already watching, and that's the problem. But no competition, oversaturation. They need to eliminate the Hollywood writers because they write for people They're acting like, but look, these people do not talk this way in real life. Don't talk to me as a child. Get that 18 to 49 male demographic again. Make me believe.
Well, and the thing is too, like AEW fans try their best to be like, we beat NXT, but in the grand scheme of things, nobody cares.
By 10,000 viewers. So.
At the end of the day, like you said, there's no competition. There's no real competition. And in order for there to actually be competition, both companies have to recognize that the other is there. I'm sorry, AEW, but to WWE, you're still a little gnat that they haven't even noticed yet, I don't think.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, AEW is competing with NXT, not the main roster. Like, that's the issue. Like, if you're competing with the main roster, then Vince is like, hey, pal, we got to, as Adam would say, we got to, like,
goddamn, pal.
we got to do something now, because that's what WCW did. WCW competed with the main roster because, of course, there was nothing else to compete with, but WCW competed with the main roster.
Yeah, well, not only that, whatever, there was a reason why the NWO angle at first was believable. My God, Razor and Diesel, they're coming to WCW, and they're going to fuck with those guys. We believe this. You understood it because Diesel was Oz and Vinny Vegas before, and Razor was the Diamond Stud. They're like, you guys treat us like dog shit. Now we're coming back to stick it to you. That was believable, and they felt separate. They didn't feel like they were part of WCW.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I have another question for you guys, but I'll let I think Justin still has to give his. Did he give his?
No, I haven't yet.
State of the business.
And also, there's another thing I want to add. Like AEW, like during the summertime, they were saying, or like MJF or like Chris Jericho saying, oh yeah, we're in a ratings war right now. Well, NXT wasn't acknowledging anything about that. They're like, yeah, you guys are just a little gnat here. Like we don't like. It didn't matter anything to them. I mean, just because like they're winning by like a couple thousand extra viewers, like they're not like the company right now. Like all these companies, they're like you said, they aren't doing like anything to spice up anything to bring new viewers in. And I definitely agree with DJ. It's really oversaturated right now. It's like copy and paste. Like do the same matches, do same promos like on every single show, and there's way too much wrestling out here. And like you said, DJ, we got into, like a few years ago when they said, oh yeah, wrestling every night. Yeah, this is gonna be awesome. But like, no.
I'll give you a good example. Tony Schiavone, before he got back into announcing, he announced baseball games for the minor league team for the Atlanta Braves. And he goes, man, when April would come around and the season would start, man, I was gung-ho and ready to call some baseball games. Come August, I don't want to see a fucking pitch again. I'm ready for this shit to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think too, and I know Casey, you got another point, but like, I think too, when I say that it doesn't matter, what I mean by that is, AEW is not technically competing with WWE if they're only competing with NXT. Because NXT is not the cream of the crop, supposedly, for what WWE promotes and books and wants everybody to look
to the top. Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's why I feel like when the whole Peacock thing comes out, that they should just move NXT to like Peacock exclusive, to get more people to get on there. Because, like I said, there's really not much of a war going on right now, or like have a different nights or something. Because there ain't much really.
But people aren't gonna. Casual fans aren't going to go out of their way to go onto Peacock to watch NXT or WWE in general. That's my issue with the Peacock deal. Is like you're not going to get the casual fans if they're not already trying to find you or stop. They're not going to go out of their way to be like, oh, let's go to Peacock and watch, WWE.
Well, shoot, I think that's the importance of, and it's funny because Rabbit always brings this point up. And we're always like, is there an importance to TV anymore? But I think that is the importance of it, right? In a way, the importance of it is the fact that I still may tune through some channels, go through some channels, and I just might happen to find AEW or NXT or Raw or SmackDown and sit down for a second and say, do I really want to watch this or do I not? Whereas the one thing about on-demand services is it's so customer-based. It matches you with what you're interested in, and if it ain't wrestling, you ain't gonna find it.
Or say they have, somebody, who has, say they have Peacock or something, okay? And they're just, they're just scrolling through. They used to be wrestling fans, and they see, like, a big promo thing, like, things scrolling at the top. They see Undertaker there. Like, oh, yeah, I used to, like Undertaker. I like Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock. They're like, well,
but
maybe
it's a documentary. But that's the thing. If it's a documentary, they might watch it. But I don't see somebody being like,
they see like,
oh,
opinion, they go like, oh, yeah. WrestleMania is around the corner.
Exactly.
Like,
my personal opinion is I don't see anybody being like, oh, cool, The Undertaker. Oh, you want me to watch SmackDown this week? Oh, heck no. I just don't see it happening.
And even for the casual fan just flipping through channels, you have to be able to grab them and make them want to stop on your channel. Yeah, and there's nothing in WWE that's really doing that right now. Like, if I'm scrolling through, there's a very small chance that there's going to be something on there that's going to stop me and be like, oh, I got to watch this. Unless it's like Alexa Bliss. I will stop for anything. Oh, my God.
Or Sasha's entrance.
Oh, my God.
What? Oh, my God. But anyway, the point that I was going to make before, first of all, just in general with like promos, the general idea is like you're supposed to put yourself over, but not completely bury your opponent, because at the end of the day, if I say, like, say if I have a match with Adam and I say, you're the worst wrestler ever, you suck, and then he beats me, that makes
you
me
just lost to a loser.
Yeah, exactly. But with that, did you guys see the Bow Wow tweet that he put out, where he basically buried the entire roster saying, oh, I have 70K, you only have 50K. I'm trying to help you out, kid. That is the worst thing you could have done. You just buried the entire fucking roster. What? Who's
no, that's what I'm saying. To me, it goes the same thing with back to the AEW thing, where Jericho, playing off of the Meltzer article saying, and Alvarez, I got to put him in the mix of, well, they were 800,000 viewers again, but they did win the demo 18-39, and I think that's very like, I don't care what the age range is. You are still maintaining the same amount. The last job I had, that's why we went under. We were not elevating. We just maintained for one thing. And I'm not saying that AEW is going out of business anytime soon. I am not saying that at all. But I'm saying you are still in kind of in the infancy phase of you need to work on gaining more viewers and not maintain the same amount. When Alvarez posts that every day, or every Thursday, whenever it is, AEW 850,000, NXT 60,000, whatever. It's like, that's how does anybody, again, copy and paste? It's the same thing every damn week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
And unless you're a hardcore fan, you're not going to watch it.
Yes.
These days,
yes.
And these days, it's hard for people to. People's attention spans are really low these days. Like, it's hard to keep somebody's attention. Like, if that character doesn't look good, or if they're not doing very good things in the match, or like the promo's boring, they go like, "Oh yeah, I don't care about this." What's going to make me care about you?
Exactly, but that's the main thing too. Perception. That's why I say you need to pick one guy or one gal and push them. Don't have everybody be like, oh, we're all equal, we're all inclusive. No, give me somebody that you view as a star and get them over.
And
don't force them over. Get them over.
Like DJ has said before, we're like 1 star away from all these companies, from going up. But it's them putting in the effort to actually push that star.
Well, who would you say like in WWE? I'll open this to you guys. In WWE, who is your, name me as quick as you can at the top of your head, five stars. I mean legit stars, not the generic Michael Cole superstar line. Everybody. Right offhand, I would say Roman. Drew, Brock, Becky, and I just had someone in mind. I just forgot. But anyway, just like to me, those are the creme de la creme.
Yeah, mine is Roman, Charlotte.
That's what I'm thinking.
Let's see. I had more and they're gone now. Let me think a little bit longer. Anybody else got at least 2?
I got at least 3 or 4. But mine is Roman, Seth, Sasha.
I had Seth in there.
Yeah, because Iowa boy. And who else do I put in there? Oh man. I'm trying to think of somebody else.
I mean, I would say that Bray's a star.
But they I don't know, like with his character sometimes, like.
But Bray is one of those guys you have to watch. You ain't
Randy
gonna turn on your TV and be like,
maybe put Orton up there, but like he's kind of older star. He's been around.
We're talking like are we talking like New Age stars or just stars?
Oh, you're talking New Age
just
stars.
I'm talking about stars right now. Who really moves the needle? For those, I would say that's your core guys. And
maybe not for us, but in general, I think it's Brock. I still think
overall it would be Brock. Overall, it definitely would be Brock.
Yeah, I think people still pop for Brock. And AJ. AJ is another one.
AJ Styles, there we go. Yes, AJ Styles. That's what I was thinking of.
The thing about it with me is, like, again, I'm thinking who also is going to be the future of your company. Who is a star now, but who is also going to be the future of your company? I think, obviously, Roman. I think AJ, because I think he has a lot left in the tank. I think Seth. I think Finn. We talked about it last night. He's top 5 in the business right now, period.
Adam Cole.
Yeah, and Adam Cole. 5
right there. I heard some things like the reason why they're kind of trying to split Adam Cole from the UEs because they only want him to go to the main roster because they feel like the other guys won't be successful up there. But like, what?
Well, again, what is one thing that Vince always goes? He always goes back to the same song and dance when it comes to a guy that we the fans view as a star. Not just strictly work. Not just strictly work, character, promo, etc. size. He always goes back to that same stupid fucking. Well, I was just too small. Eddie got over. Benoit got over. Ray got over. But they were perceived as stars. It's like you Daniel Bryan. Thank you. Now, yes, we the fans forced the issue. It's like to the point where it's like, okay, we have to go with it. And it was one of the best WrestleMania moments ever. Now, yes, you can't shove said person, whoever, down our throats. But there's a lot of times where, again, to me, one guy that it was just a gross misstep that I think you could have made tons of money for even before the pandemic, Cesaro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looks like $1 million, is a freak, can work literally with anybody.
And also,
all you have to do is give him a mouthpiece if you don't think he can cut a promo.
I hate what they're doing with Cesaro and stuff like how on commentary like, oh yeah, he's so underrated. No, you guys are like, go ahead.
And again, a real quick point I want to make that that Adam just kind of hinted at. Managers. You used to have a ton of managers, and managers used to manage more than one person. The Heenan family.
Like take for the the early 90s, the late 80s, for example.
The guy is amazing in the ring and has charisma, but doesn't have the promo skills. Put a freaking manager with him.
Well, not only that, I'll throw in one monkey wrench in there too. Paul Ellering, for old school fans. Hawk could talk, Animal could talk, and Paul Ellering took everything those guys just said and put a nice little bow on top of it. Guys can still get themselves over by talking, but if you know of a guy, Casey beats this drum forever, but it's valid. If a guy cannot cut a promo, give him a mouthpiece to get him over. Now, does anybody care about what Brock says? No, we want to hear from Paul Heyman.
Yeah, and there's certain guys, and we said it before, there's certain guys who just don't need to talk. And some of it's not because they can't. It's just they don't need to. There's no need.
We don't want to. I mean, for what it's worth, I'll go back to Goldberg. Did anybody want to hear him talk? No. You wanted to see him have his 30-second matches.
Well, and you even go back to Hogan didn't necessarily need a manager, but he had Jimmy Hart for a while there. A lot of guys that Jimmy Hart were with didn't necessarily need managers, but everyone remembers Jimmy Hart. Everyone remembers
Bobby Heenan.
Like
Jim Cornette too.
They yeah, exactly. Jim Cornette.
The $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
That's the one thing. That's the one thing I want to come back is managers. I think it's a dying art that needs to come back.
Sarah O'Malley, we're hiring you. You're going to be the next big manager.
I think,
I wish.
Even when it comes down to sometimes, and we were talking about this with Impact, I was talking to Justin about it. Sometimes you can pair superstars and have another superstar be your mouthpiece, and they still do their own thing. They don't do that enough either. Like with Shera and Rohit Raju. Rohit Raju is a great promo guy. Shera, he likes to dance. He likes to fun. That's about all I know about the man. So let Rohit cut his promos for him. But at the same time, Rohit doesn't have to be a manager per se. He can just talk for him. Mm-hmm. It's okay. It's fine.
Well, it's like Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn can cut a promo if he needs to, but Road Dogg was the promo guy. Road Dogg was the mic guy.
Yeah, Enzo and Big Cass.
Billy was the worker. Road Dogg was the talker. That was it. Rock and Roll Express. Ricky cut the promo. Robert, you didn't ever want to fucking hear him. For one, he couldn't look into the camera. One was looking this way, the other eye was looking that way. So, he's looking into the camera, and over there he's staring at the betting machine. So he's looking at two things at once. Just speaking of betting machine, anybody got $1?
Oh man. Any final thoughts, boys? Final thoughts on anything?
I want the business to succeed. AEW, even though I don't watch for other reasons, and it's irrelevant. I don't watch it for my own reasons, but it doesn't mean that I don't want you to succeed, because we need another stable company that will maybe, I don't know how it hasn't happened yet, but eventually I think that we'll have to force WWE's hand to get better. And if those two are succeeding, that will bump Impact. That will bump ROH. But the one thing that with ROH, that they've always maintained their own line of thinking, their own integrity, and that's made them last for 20 some odd years. But regardless, as much as the business frustrates me, like, I understand in this climate, it's a new wave of fan, it's a new wave of what fans are thinking. But to me, yes, the business does evolve, but the fundamental element of wrestling that made me love it as a kid was characters and believability. Now it's just Circus Soleil and nice, cool.
Or it's like having these hour-long matches and like throwing a whole bunch of forearms, throwing a whole bunch of suplexes, or hitting a whole bunch of one-winged angels, if I can talk right now, or doing snap German suplex, or flippity dippity everywhere.
V trigger. But anyway, just get guys over. Not everything has to be 50-50 booking. Some people in a shoot fight, sometimes guys lose in 30 seconds. Get that air of believability back.
Yeah.
Well, and like Adam said, for similar reasons, I do not watch AEW. We won't get into that because that's our own thing. But there's guys on there that I want to succeed. There's guys on there that deserve where they are. They deserve that spot. I would never want to take that away from them. That doesn't mean that I'm necessarily going to watch I might watch their match. I might, do that, but I'm not going to watch the show for our own personal reasons. But yeah, I want wrestling to succeed. I want it to, I want the next generation to have the same love for it that I did. I want, and I've said this before. One of the reasons I got into pro wrestling is to, give a kid that was, a 10-year-old kid that feeling that I got when I was his age. I want that feeling for, the younger fans. And you mentioned Ring of Honor a little bit. Ring of Honor is one of those companies where I have always loved them, and I don't care. I didn't care if they ever got up to the WWE status or the size of WWE, because Ring of Honor knows what they are and is good at what they are. They don't need to be WWE. They don't need to be the biggest company in the world, because they are the best at what they know how to do. And right now it's basically being a feeder system for other companies.
Yeah, but how many t-shirts do they sell?
Danhausen, that's all I have to say. Danhausen over there. I love Danhausen.
I love him. I first saw him in Ohio years ago. And ever since, he has been one of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
Danhausen.
He has one of the greatest gimmicks I have ever seen in my life.
With his teeth and stuff.
Oh my God. If you have not watched Danhausen, just watch one of his promos, and it is the greatest thing ever.
It cracks me up.
He's great. And he's a good worker, too.
He is, yeah.
I think him and Warhorse had a tag team for a while there. I don't know if they still do. But two of the best gimmicks I've ever seen. I love them.
Besides the Man Scout, of course.
I mean, obviously. The Man Scout is the greatest of all time. I don't think Adam shares that.
I remember I saw him for the first time, and I was like, if WWE doesn't do this gimmick, I'm gonna be so sick.
Come on, okay, listen, hear me out, dude. I saw him live at WrestleCon one year, and he was in a street fight, and he used a tent as a weapon. Come on.
There's only been one time someone used an inanimate object and popped me. Owen Hart got hit with a bag of popcorn from Mick Foley, and Owen sold it like he was shot. But it was on a house show.
It should have been on Mania.
How do you get mad leaving a tent? Zip the door really fast. Bitch Edward fans out there? Anybody?
Have you ever been hit with a tent before, though? Come on now.
Why?
Tennis racket is the underrated weapon, actually.
That's
it is because you can
true.
load it. You can load that sumbitch.
But nonetheless, if nobody has any more final thoughts.
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing. You know, I definitely agree with you guys. You know, I want the hey, what's up, man? Hey, hi. You know, I want the wrestling business to succeed. I was waving, you know, like I was waving down there.
How come nobody put Otis on their list of?
I got your Otis. You gotta bring your Otis out. Yes, that's the best Otis.
The thing is, you notice he's starting to become bushwacky.
No, but I want the wrestling business to succeed. Like, I want there to be more edginess and like more not so watered down and doing the same thing, you know, on every single show. Because there's like only a few shows I watch a week. Like, I don't watch Raw. I watch Impact. I watch NXT, AEW. I watch some New Japan here and there. You know, I have the network and stuff. And then I watch what is it? I watch SmackDowns on Fridays.
Sabre Jr.
Sabre Jr.
Karabushi. Taichi.
If anyone ever has them as a match, I want to call that match.
Also, by the way, New Japan.
You don't have to pay me at all. I just want to be.
Also, by the way, New Japan, they have their own channel now on. Like, so if anybody has a Roku, like you can watch those. It's on the Roku channel, and it's for free. And they got like, they have They put up Wrestle Kingdom 14 on there.
Is it all matches from like 2 years ago?
I think they're going to even put current matches on there also, but they haven't like put anything on there. I haven't checked it out.
Them old matches though.
I mean, it is free.
AJ and Shinsuke.
It is free. It did be free. I mean, you can free $99.
$3.99. You know, 99 cents. So
it's on the Roku channel.
Yeah, you got to search in NJPW, like New Japan Professional Wrestling. It should be up there.
Real quick, I think Sarah was the heart of the video. Shout out to Sarah. Always coming through.
Oh, which
but remember,
no, she just hearted the video.
You're taking us to Mania.
She is.
She's taking us to Mania.
We're waiting.
Mania 38. No, 37. No, 38.
Oh shit! It is. It is on there. Oh my god.
But
Wrestle Kingdom 14 is on here.
Okay.
Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy
Wait, guys. Zack Sabre Jr. and Sonata.
Wait, go find the best of holy shit.
The best of holy shit. Okay.
Yes,
the best of holy shit. Let me look it up after this.
Why can't I think of him? But the guy that does all the comedy matches, and he always blows them and does a roll up.
Fuck.
Oh, Toriano.
My God, how could I bet?
Like when he grabs when he takes apart the ring pad or like the turnbuckle. Break. I love Toriano. He's so funny.
I love Toriano. Yes.
Yeah, I love him too. But because he's one of those guys you just remember. Like you see him one time, you're like, yep.
But that's when comedy is okay. That's I saw him have a match with Colt Cabana on a Ring of Honor show where they had the crossover with them in New Japan, and it was great. It was entertaining. Same thing. He took a chair and Colt goes out of the ring, whatever, though, and he goes, "No means no."
Or like you look at Minoru Suzuki, like you look like he's gonna, beat your ass.
Because he probably will. That motherfucker was trained by Frank Gotch. That's the same. That's the same way as being trained by a Terminator.
I have to say, I met Tomohiro Ishii, and it was the scariest moment of my life and the happiest moment of my life. Like he's the most intimidating human being
He's like this tall. They call him the Stone Pitbull for a reason. I would not mess with that man.
Also, Switchblade Jay White. Yes, sir.
Amazing. Seen him live twice. At
like the rise of dang, we're getting on random topics right now. But the rise of Jay White over, as him, becoming the young lion, going on, winning New Japan Cup, winning the G1 Climax.
Him turning on Kenny when Kenny offered him the Bullet Club shirt, he puts it on and then looks to the crowd and does this and gives him the Switchblade. Amazing.
Gives him the Blade Runner. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Next episode, top 10 favorite New Japan wrestlers of all time. Go.
Okay. Ishii will not be on my list. Anyway.
What? Ishii is amazing, sir.
Okada will not.
Everybody knows I hate Ishii.
You put some respect on his name.
Everybody knows I hate Ishii.
Okada will not be on my list because he's on Ebbay's list.
He must say, he better be on your list. Anyway.
If
I'll put Ishii on my list so Okada can be on yours.
Jay White will not be on my list.
Okay.
Well, goodbye, y'all.
But as always, if you want more craziness, discussion, laughter, wild things, you make my heart sing. If you want more of that, you can always see us on Apple Podcasts, our exclusive Snapple podcast. Our exclusive Snapple podcast. What was it? Anchor?
Ankle podcast.
Anchor is a real thing. Ankle is not, okay? But you can listen to us there. You just kind of like
put the dollar store version of Anchor.
There we go. And if you hate Facebook, you want to watch it on YouTube, you go over there. If you hate YouTube, you want to watch it on Facebook, you can vice versa. But nonetheless, until next time, appreciate everybody for coming by. Rabbit in his absence as well. Appreciate it. Appreciate Josh coming by late here. Appreciate it. Bingo. Sarah for the heart, appreciate it, and the WrestleMania trip, appreciate you. Other than that, the other people that were here that didn't comment or like, so I don't know who you are, so I can't shout you out. But appreciate you anyway. We'll see you guys.
ICWP 38, WrestleMania 38. We're going.
For Justin, Adam, who started us out, I probably should have let him end us off, but nonetheless, Adam. I almost read the actual name. Casey, we will see you guys on the next one.
The name is Dixie Normus.
That, I believe it. Bye.
His name is Dixie Wish Enormous.
See ya.